All right, so welcome to today's training, guys. Today is about getting your first or your next chatbot client. We're going to talk about what to do before, during, and after your sales pitch. And what we're going to focus on is learning the steps that you need to take to land the client, right? We'll kind of break it down into 3 sections. We'll talk about, what you need to do and how you can package your chatbot and everything that you want to include in your chatbot. We'll talk about how to price and package your chatbot, and then we'll also talk about how to actually find leads and prospects as well. So I'm curious for you guys, let me know what you guys are, and most of you guys are like a digital marketer, or you're an agency owner, you have an agency or a freelancer, but that's really who this training is for, and really anybody who wants to be able to get more clients by online, right, or wants to offer some sort of service, any type of service really, and wants to get more clients. That's really what this training is for. So if you guys could just share with me in the chat, I ask for these questions because I'll share in a little bit. I've been fortunate to build bots in lots of different industries, but I really want to make this training relevant for you. And so if you guys have a lot of these questions answered, then it makes the training a lot more relevant. So I'd love to know if you're an agency owner, and more importantly, on a scale of 1 to 3, where are you at? Are you at a 1 where you're just getting started, you're looking to get your first client, or this is something that you're just kind of thinking about, or you're just getting going? Are you a 2, right, where you would say that you've kind of already got your first couple of clients, you've already got your groove a little bit, and now you're looking to scale? Or would you say that you're a 3, where your organization is already pumping, and now you're really looking for ways to optimize, grow, and really scale it to the next level? Let me know, 1, 2, or 3. You guys, and let me know, can you guys hear me? Looks like Jesse can hear me. Okay, so let me know 1, 2, or 3, because that will change some of these, some of the trainings as well. And it looks like Gio has fixed his audio so you guys can hear me. So looks like we got some a 1, a 2. Let me know if you guys are just getting started. Drop a 1. If you guys are kind of already going a little bit but really looking to grow, drop a 2. Or if you guys are already established and really looking to scale to the next level, let me know a 3, because that will make it a little easier for the training. All right, some 1s and 2s. Okay, cool. So let's talk about this, and this is, some of you guys have seen this kind of imagery here, and I remember when I first got into digital marketing, it was really, really challenging, because one of the first things that I got into was Facebook ads, and that I wanted to get into, right? And I said that I was going to run Facebook ads, but when I started to try and get clients, or when I went out there and started prospecting, I realized that there were a ton of other Facebook ads people out there. There was a ton of other agencies. There's a ton of other people who had a lot of experience. And the kind of the unfortunate side is that there was a ton of people, a ton of businesses who kind of had this negative image of Facebook ads and said like, oh, Facebook ads don't work, right? And so I had to really battle this uphill, challenge of getting through to businesses to actually even give me a try. And I realized that I was just in a red ocean, right? It was really in kind of what we call a bloody market, essentially, where for years people have been running Facebook ads. For years people have been building websites and offering Google, ads, and even offering funnels now. Like, that's a very crowded territory. And so I remember listening to this podcast one time, and they were talking about messenger ads, and they were talking about chatbots, and I was really bombing with a campaign that I was running for one of my clients. And I just said, well, why don't we just try this chatbot thing? We got nothing to lose. Our campaign is already sucking. We got to try something. And within the next 2 weeks, we went from having negative ad spend and just blowing 2 weeks of ad spend to, over the next 2 weeks, not only did we catch up, but we were actually able to 10x their entire ad spend, and we were able to launch their gym, and it was a really cool thing. And so what I saw there was like, oh my goodness, there was these incredibly affordable, I don't like to call them cheap because they're not cheap, but this incredibly affordable way to subscribe people, right? I didn't need a landing page, and people were able to go directly into my chatbot. I was having these incredible click-through rates, and open rates were just off the charts, where people were reading my messages, where my emails were barely even getting through the spam filter, right? And so there was all of this like really cool stuff that I realized. And so I said, why don't I why don't I keep pursuing this? And what I learned was that chatbots was really this thing that was a wide open blue ocean. And a lot of people might think that it's really crowded now, but as I am kind of just continuing to be in the market, I realize that there is so much more and more opportunity for people who offer and sell and develop chatbots. And the reason is like, if you think about it, 10 years ago, every single business needed a website, right? So WordPress designers were hot and hot and hot, and it was like everybody needed a website. And so all these people jumped into WordPress and became WordPress designers. But then everybody became, social media became a thing, and about 5 years ago, everybody needed social media presence, right? And so everybody started having social media managers. And then that's how this Facebook ads things came about. Well, in a few years, every single business is going to need messenger automation, right? And what's really, really cool is like, it's not going away. So I was doing some research here. And so obviously Messenger just cracked the 1 billion person mark, right? Which means that over, throughout the world in almost every country, over 1 billion people are using Messenger. And they're continuing to pour money into it and create new features and new developments of all of this stuff, right? What I think is probably an even crazier stat is that 1 billion messages are sent between people and businesses every single month. So if you think about that, this is something that is already happening. And if you can position yourself as someone who is an expert or someone who is a provider in this field, well, all of a sudden it's going to make it so much easier for you to go out there and get clients, frankly, right? Because you are the expert. And so what's really, really cool too is to see that Facebook Messenger is really not even, this is the Google Play Store, right? But Facebook Messenger is not even the top messaging app. And Facebook, who also owns WhatsApp, is going to be opening that as a chatbot platform. So what I'm sharing with you is that this is not like a fad. This is not something that's going away, and it's something that's only going to be continuing to build through Messenger, through voice, through AR, through VR. All of that is going to include chatbots. And so those are all going to be built by somebody. And I know that businesses are not going to be the ones doing it. They can't even figure out posting on social media. How do you think that they're going to be able to build complex or even not, just basic bots? And so over that time, continue to work in, just providing chatbots and building bots. And so over that time, I've been able to work with real estate agents in the medical space in a variety of different spaces, chiropractor, those kinds of things, medical spas. We've worked with fitness gyms, personal trainers. We work with best-selling authors, musicians, speakers, like the home services industry, roofing, plumbing. We've done e-com. We've sold info products with it. We've done affiliate marketing, and we've even done nonprofit fundraising, all with chatbots, right? And so it's really something when people go, well, what industry is great, are chatbots great for? The answer is whatever one you can sell it to, because there we're going to talk about all of the different like what we call the universal bot system, right? Which is basically just like everything that every bot like absolutely needs. And I've broken it down to really 3 core areas. And so the great thing is that every industry could and should and will be using chatbots in the very near future. So here's what we're going to cover today, okay? These 3 things. We're going to talk about, number 1, well, we're going to kind of go in this backwards. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is what to sell, right? I mentioned that universal bot structure. We're going to talk about what that universal bot structure is and how you can apply it to the niche and the industry that you eventually pick. We'll talk about the staircase method, right? And what to charge. We'll talk about the 2 ways to do it, which is the staircase method and the 10X method, because a lot of people don't know how to package or price their services. And so that's going to be a big thing that we'll talk about. And then we'll actually talk about how to find clients. We'll talk about manual prospecting, and then we'll talk about something that I've recently been excited about and sharing a lot of content on, which is sales automation. So get settled in. I wanted to do this training, rather not want to say quickly, but efficiently, so that we can have some chance, some time for a Q&A at the end. But if you guys have any questions, make sure you guys throw those in the chat so I can answer them as we cover it. And I don't know if you guys can hear the ABC song in the background, but my wife is playing the ABC song. So if it's too loud, let me know. Figure it out. All right. What did I want to do? Oh yeah, I wanted to show you. So there's just one thing that I wanted to do. So let me hop over here, and I wanted to show you this, right? So this is like, I think the real reason why I sell bots, right? Is like, that's my wife and beautiful wife and my son Cashton, who is now 5 months old. And I'm getting tongue-tied here because I have so much to share about why I'm grateful for chatbots, but I think that they are the number one reason, right? And the fact that there was times when I didn't know if I was going to be able to succeed in the online space and the online world, and it was actually chatbots that was my saving grace. There was times where I say my wife and I, where I got a notice on our door for rent saying, like, you got to make I think, like, I don't know, it was a couple $1,000 in 3 days, or you need to get, or you need to leave. And thankfully I had chatbots, and thankfully I had, I was able to sell chatbots and, have that as a service in my back pocket that allowed me to, I don't know, do all that stuff, right? Now it's awesome that my wife can, stay home and raise our baby, and we live in a, we actually not only paid rent, but we've actually moved up and upgraded, and we live in a much nicer space where we have a pool and a jacuzzi and a much nicer area. And so all that stuff to say, like, this is kind of the why behind it. So in case some of you guys are like, who the hell is this guy? This is your first training, so that'd be helpful. All right, let's get right into it. Let's get on with the show. I said that I would be creating highlights in here, but I just recorded it, so that's fine. One fell swoop. Let's talk about secret number one, which is, what do you actually sell, right? Because let me know in the chat, like, give me a why if you guys, like, have already figured out what your offer is, and you already know what your bot's going to include, and you already know, like, all the different features. Or give me an N if, or like a not yet, if you haven't figured it out yet, right? Because it's really the first thing to figure out is, what are you actually going to include in here? And before we even get into this, I will talk about a little bit about niche, right? And I mentioned that my very first bot was for a fitness client. And what I really, really loved about digital marketing when I got into it was the fact that it could help and it could impact so many different types of industries and so many different people. And so when my friend actually came to me and he said, hey, I'm launching a gym, I'm actually starting a brand new gym, and I need your help. I'd love your help with marketing. Can you, do you think that you can help? And I'm like, wow, it's a gym. How hard can it be? And so little did I know, though, that building a landing page, building a high converting ad, and all that stuff is very, very challenging. And so the reason I say that is that I was kind of dumb and just kind of got into chatbots by just kind of luck. But after working in so many different niches, what I've realized is that chatbots really are good and can work for every single type of business. I've yet to find an industry that chatbots can't actually be applied to. And so what I would encourage you to do is to pick a niche, right? And to focus on something that you have experience in, or something like that you've had a job in, or that you can kind of speak the lingo in, or something that you're passionate about and that you would really be dedicated to, spending the time to create something that really is effective. And if you can decide out of those, well, all of a sudden you can say, all right, well, what do those things actually need, right? So I'm going to get some ideas here, right? And we can kind of talk about what are the different, ways in which a bot could actually work for a variety of different industries. But I'd love to know if any of you guys have thought about industries that, that it could work for, right? Or what you would be thinking about getting into. You can share it, and we can talk about, some of the features and the functions that it could really work for. Now, here's, what I ended up doing in kind of my journey was I had a little bit of an interest, and I had a ton of people in my network that were in the real estate space. And so I actually had my old music teacher, right, who she was my 5th grade music teacher. She messaged me one day and she said, "Hey, I'm becoming a real estate agent. Do you think that you can help me out with my marketing and stuff?" And I was like, wow, I think so, right? So I just said yes, and we got started talking, and she was like, well, I'd really like to try this kind of chatbot thing, right? I'd really like to figure out, how we can implement this, because real estate was a space that has already caught on to the word chatbots, and they kind of already understand what they are. And so we started having this conversation, and I started to ask her, what does she do on a daily basis, right? Like, what are the things that she's spending most of her time doing? And what happened was, what occurred to me is that most of the day she was spending her time calling all of her leads, trying to find the people that were interested. She would spend hours and hours every single day calling through all of these leads, emailing all of these people who don't actually see her emails, calling these people who don't actually answer, texting these people who weren't actually interested, to try and find some sort of way, to get on the phone call with them, to be able to get, on an appointment with them, to go see a house, do something with them that, the real estate agents do. So as I started to ask, what she did, I started to realize that this qualification process was taking up so much of her time, and was also something that real estate agents, A, spend a lot of time doing, or B, really don't like doing because it takes a lot of time. I started to think about what were the ways that a chatbot could actually replace that person, or that kind of response. And so, a lot of real estate agents, they're big on email marketing, right? And so they're kind of, they know how to run, a lot of them are able to run Facebook ads, or even a lot of them do, kind of a lot of in-person marketing, but they do a really good job of getting email addresses, right? And the problem is that nobody actually sees those emails that they send. And so for me, I was like, all right, I've got to figure out a way that they can actually subscribe to the chatbot, right? That was thing number one, was like, we got to find ways for people to get in. And so obviously Facebook ads became a big thing for it. But then the nice thing about chatbots is that you can actually have people subscribe via links. You can have people subscribe via scan codes. You can have people subscribe by directly messaging them. You can have people subscribe by commenting on a post. So I started to identify all of these different ways that we could incorporate that into what the real estate agent was already doing. So we could put scan codes on their open house, pamphlets. We could put, we could send the links in emails that they were already sending. We could put a live chat, button on their website. These were all ways that we can actually get more people subscribed into our chatbot. Now, the difference with a chatbot, though, and what I really love, is that not only can you subscribe to the chatbot, but then it's also this tool that you can interact with, that you can engage with, and that it interacts and engages with you in real time. The thing with emails is if someone responds to an email, well, it takes a while for someone to get back to them. They don't always check their email. It's just not a real-time experience. But we all know that the beautiful thing about websites is that they are this real-time experience where people are able to go and get information. They're able to, access stuff on their own time. Well, a chatbot is like this combination of a website and an actual person, because it kind of replicates this messaging, format, or this conversation format. So it delivers info to people at a steady rate that they can handle without being this kind of, 10-page email that they send to somebody about, all the stuff that they offer. So it's very consumable. But then it also becomes, this way that you can follow up with people, right? So now not only are they able to subscribe, they're able to engage with it, right? Where if you know that a lot of websites have their about us or their products or their menu, or there's different information that a business would want to have, that a customer might be interested in. Well, now you can actually embed that into a conversational agent, right? Into a chatbot, so that can actually look like a conversation. And you can actually, instead of having one salesperson, you can have 1,000, 10,000, 25,000 customer support or salespeople all paying personal attention to that person, to that user's conversation. And maybe even the best thing about it is that there's a follow-up process. I mean, there's a built-in follow-up in there as well. And so what happens with a lot of businesses is they collect email addresses, but then they got to put them into a CRM, and then they got to get them into another, autoresponder, and then they got to create all these things. And it's like this, it's very, very disconnected. It's very clunky. Whereas a bot, right, what it really allows you to do is it allows you to follow up with those people who come in. And so now back to this real estate agent, what we were able to do is we were able to have people subscribe via Facebook ad, right? They were able to come in, search for homes, and view homes for sale right there in the chatbot. And then we were able to follow up and ask them questions afterwards about when they were actually moving. And so we were able to identify the people who were high quality prospects and actually worth spending more time with. And so instead of our agents spending hours following up with every single lead, they were actually able to identify the ones who were prime prospects, right? And so what we tried to do is we tried to take those same three things, right? Those same three things, which is subscription, right? Getting people into it, right? What I call like the furniture of your chatbot, right? Getting them to engage and have some sort of value add with right there within the chatbot, and then to have some sort of follow-up process. If you can build those into your bot, that's going to be really effective. And the thing is that the way that you subscribe people might be different. Depending on your niche or industry, right? You might have more people comment on a growth tool, or you might have people comment more on a URL, or you might have people join from a scan code. What I love about chatbots is that there's not just one way for someone to subscribe, but you can create lots of, and a variety of ways for people to actually get in. So that is what you should include in every single bot, right? And then you just modify it depending on your niche. So I'll give you one little hack here, okay? Here's a little hack I'll give you, which is what I call the just website hacking for an industry, right? Like if I were to go on and I were to look at, let's take a look at dentist. I'm just gonna type dentist, right? It's a dentist. So we got Dentist of Torrance up here, right? So if I click Dentist of Torrance, this is someone who's spending money on ads, right? Sorry, I just took their ad, they just paid for a click. But notice here, they've got a services tab, they've got an about tab, they've got a way for people to join or to buy, they've got a photo gallery, and a way for people to contact them. So if I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna start building bots for dentists, this is probably the basic stuff that I wanna have on my chatbot. I wanna have a way for them to be able to find out about all the services that we offer, right? But here's the extra added benefit, Mr. Business Owner, is that when they click on this stuff, we can track which one they're interested in. I'm gonna have a way for them to find out about the business. They probably have some sort of like scheduling or like some sort of form here, right? So I'm gonna have a way for them to submit their name, their email, their phone number, for them to even schedule a time, right? All of these things, I'm just gonna transfer into my bot. And if I do that, it makes it so much easier for me to actually try and figure out what should I actually build into the bot. You don't need anything different, right? You just want to make sure that you are providing it, and the reason is because you can provide it more efficiently and more effectively. All right, I'm going to take a quick second here, and I think that's fantastic. Mary Kay got some clarity. Devin, great. So let's talk about the next step, which is what to charge, right? Because Now you've got, all right, so I understand my functions. I want to get people to join the bot. I want to get them to subscribe. Then what I want to do is I want to get people to interact with it, right, in a variety of different ways. And then I want to have some sort of follow-up system to be able to find, the ideal customers or prospects, right? And so I want to be able to do that, but then I can do that in a variety of different ways, right? I remember for me, one thing that really, really helped me was creating a, just laying out everything that comes into our, that comes in our bot. So let me pull up here. I'm going to pull up our slides, and this is actually something that our accelerators get access to. But the reason I'm showing you this is I want to go through and show you everything now that could possibly be, that could possibly be included in it, right? Because when I had got into these different industries, I realized that not every industry was going to use or was going to need every type of thing, right? Not every industry was going to run Facebook ads, so they need something that they can get people more, organically. Not everybody is going to have a large social media following, so they're going to need some sort of way, to drive traffic, to people. So lots of different things that go into it, right? But in a, overall, here are the things that you can include in your package, right? Here's the things that you can include in your package. You can include opt-in and subscription tools. You can include links to subscribe. You can create easy landing pages with a lot of the platforms. You can create scan codes. You can create follow-up sequences. You can integrate it with, websites and a funnel, right? You can integrate them with a CRM and zap their information into other CRMs. You can collect their phone numbers. You can collect their emails. You can actually schedule people. You can transfer data to Google Sheets. We can do tracking and segmenting, right? We can integrate it with databases, and it can even have its own advanced AI where it kind of understands people. So the reason I bring this up is that there's all these different things that you can include in your services. But when I was getting started, the reality was I was nervous, right? I remember when I was brand new to the marketing game, I had already sold millions of dollars worth of physical products in the in the direct sales and the basically direct sales. I had already sold millions of dollars. I had already trained and recruited and hired hundreds and thousands of people over my time as a business owner, but I was still nervous as hell asking people for money to do their marketing. And the reason why is because I'd only done it for myself. I hadn't really done it for anybody else, so I wasn't sure or confident. I didn't have the results. I didn't have the case study. I didn't have the testimonials to be able to say, look at all of this history that I've done. And so it made it really I was really nervous, and it made it really difficult for me to get my first client without this method that I'm going to talk about, right? And so I remember hearing and listening to one of these gurus who talked about this free kind of trial thing, right? And I was always like, oh, I'm never going to do that, right? Because I want to pay for my, I want people to pay me and whatever, and I had this kind of mindset that if I do free stuff, that I was actually going to be, hindering, that it was actually going to be a negative or a waste of time. But eventually, I had a, this friend came around, and I worked on his chatbot, and we had all the success with his gym, and all of a sudden it worked, and all of a sudden I did it for free because I was his friend and I loved him, and I wanted his gym to do well, and I wanted to help him succeed. But all of a sudden I now had results. I now had testimonials. I now had case studies. I now had this case study of evidence that my work was worth spending money on. And so now what we did is we took those results, we took them to the next business, and we said, hey, look what we did with this person. They didn't know that it was my friend, and they didn't know that we did the work for free. We just showed them, hey, this is the results that we did. Here's how we did it. And what we were able to do is we were able to get that person to pay us a little bit of money. And we got them to pay us a little bit of money, and we built it and we got them results. And then we got the next person to pay us a little bit more because we had even more testimonials, we had even more notoriety. And so our first bot was for free. Then we sold our second bot for like $250. Then we sold our third bot for $500. Then we kept building, or we kept what we call the staircase method. And each time we got a little bit more experience, we got a little bit more results, and our prices went up a little bit more. And so the staircase method started out at $0, right? And frankly, it started out at $0 and included all of this stuff, right? Because we were really testing, what I didn't know is we were testing our services right there. And so the staircase method, what I would encourage you to do is, if you're brand new, you don't have clients, right? You can use the staircase method as a way to get started and to make sure that each following project, right, you make a little bit more. And it can even be as much as you charging $50 more each project, right? But the staircase method is a really valuable way to get started. Now, that's not going to be something that's, you know, sustainable, right? Or that's not going to be something that you can maybe necessarily want to do forever, because eventually you're going to want to find a way to justify your prices outside of starting at the bottom, right? And so if you guys are already confident, right, eventually we got to a place where we were selling bots, and now we needed to justify, right, how we could, you know, how it made sense for them to spend over $1,000, $1,500 with us, right? And so as we started to do this, we ended up moving a lot of different industries, right? So you heard me talk a lot about the real estate space, but we realized that the real estate space, even though they could pay us a few $100s for a chatbot, real estate agents, very few of them were able to afford to pay us $1,500, $2,000 every single month for us to be able to do their lead gen and their marketing for them. It's just the nature of the industry, is just the margins aren't as high and the returns are much less consistent than, say, something like the medical spa space. And so we started to look into different niches that could really afford us. And so what we decided, right, is that the medical spa space seemed to be a space where the operations and the procedures were way more expensive, or way more, expensive than your typical kind of, industry. But similar to a lot of industries, they had no idea how to drive, more customers for them. And so the way the 10X method came about, right, in terms of prices, is we would identify what their customer was worth to them, right? So when we were talking to medical spa people, they were, paying, they had treatments that were $500, $600, sometimes even, $700 treatments. And so we would say, Mr. Business Owner, we bring you, let's say to make numbers easy, over the lifetime of a customer, right? If they are, they're worth $1,000, right? Let's say, the treatments are $500 and they come back twice. That was what we found, is that they were actually much higher, but just for numbers' sake, let's say each customer to that medical spa was worth $1,000. Well, what we would, say to them is, Mr. Business Owner, if this month we can bring you 10 customers, right? If we can bring you 10 customers, that's now $10,000 in your pocket, right? That's $10,000 in your, into your business from that work. If we can bring you $10,000, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, doesn't it make sense and make it worth it to spend $1,000 to invest into those 10 customers, right? So if I can bring, and the way that we would always say, and I learned this from my mentor, John Logar, is if we could bring you 10 paying customers, would you be willing to give us back one of those paying customers, right? If all you had to do was give us one of your customers and we could give you 10 of them, would that be worth it? And every single business owner is like, yes, of course. And so as you're looking to grow and as you're looking to scale and become, really create something more sustainable, the way that you can position your prices is that if you can bring them, if you can show how your services offer 10x what you're actually asking, it becomes a no-brainer. And so what we ended up doing was, frankly, we would use a combination of the staircase and the 10x method. And so we would get them in on a really low offer, where for these med spas, what we would say was, we would say, hey, we're gonna set up our system for you, which included everything that I showed you, right? And all you're gonna have to do is you're gonna pay a few $100s, right? You're gonna pay a few $100s for the ads, and that's all that we're gonna do. And over the week, usually it took us about 10 days or so, but over those 10 days, we're gonna prove to you, we're gonna get you results, so much so that it makes it a no-brainer for you to want to invest into us, long term. And over that week, we would get them results, and ideally our goal would be to get them so much in return over that week that we actually would pay for ourselves, that we would actually pay for ourselves before they had to pay us. And so it was always a combination of getting them to try something out that's lower commitment, with knowing that we were going to get them results and that there was going to be some sort of higher end offer on the other side. And the reason is that so many more businesses are much more likely to give you more money if they've already given you money. And so many more businesses are much more likely to give you a smaller amount of money before they give you a larger amount of money. So if you can provide something at a lower cost or a lower rate, charge them that, deliver and provide, it makes it so much easier to upsell them to your complete package. So what that means is that, if you don't want to give them everything, right? Well, what you can actually do is you can actually splinter off and say, for a few $100s, you'll get this, this, and this. And then if you want the full thing, that's our complete package. So there's two methods there when it comes to pricing. You can start off with the staircase, and eventually I like to work to the 10x method as well. Tony says it's a great checklist. How do you get a copy? That is one of the bonuses for our accelerator program. So if you are a member of our accelerator program, you get that along with a bunch of other bonuses as well. All right, so let me ask another question. Okay, here it is. I'm taking another kind of check-in here. Give me a Y or an N. Do you guys feel more confident in how to price and package your chatbots? Give me a Y or an N. You feel a little bit better about what to do, where to price it, what to include. Let's see, Mary Kay says Y, Dennis says Y, Tony says Y, Katya says yep. Okay, cool. Awesome. And if you guys have questions, throw them down there, all right? We've got, I'd like to get you guys out of here. Whoa, by 4 o'clock. All right, let's talk about the last one, right? Which is how to find clients, okay? How to find clients. So let's actually jump back to the beginning of my agency journey. Remember, so after my real estate agent, music teacher, my old music teacher that became real estate agent, after we started working with her, we realized that we had something with real estate agents, right? Because we got her some success. We knew that there was, at this time, there was a lot of them, and we just we saw that there was something there. And so what we did was every day for about a couple of months, my partner and I would go on Zillow.com, and we would spend 2 to 3, probably 3 to 4 hours manually researching, collecting, and texting every single real estate agent that we could, get our hands on. And so we would start off, and he lived in Chicago, and I live here on the West Coast, and so we would just pick different states and different areas, and we would go in, and it was so frustratingly mind-numbing, because what we did is we would go in, we'd go on Zillow, we'd type in the area, we'd find the realtor, we'd go on their website, we'd track down their email and their info, we'd copy and paste that, put it into a Google Sheet, I'd take out my phone, I'd manually text it, we'd text them off, we'd have to write every message, and then we'd do that again. And we would get through, in that 3 to 4 hours, we'd get through. I think our goal was 50 real estate agents every single day, right? And we, because between the two of us, that was 100 real estate agents. And that was 7 total hours of manpower. Now, don't get me wrong. I say that because I think back on it, and it was a pain, but it works, right? So like let me show you, like, depending on your niche or your industry, you can go on, right? You can just go on maps, right? Just go on maps. And what's beautiful about it is you can just type in there, you know, I didn't see anybody's niche or industry down there, but what you can do is you can just type down there and you can say, you know, I want to do, what is kind of a niche? Let's say plumbers, right? Plumbers in, let's see, Anaheim, right? It could be that simple. And I can see that right here. And I've got this. Oh, look at that. That came up the first one. That's interesting. So I'm just going to type plumbers. And I can do this, right? And it's going to give me their info right here. Boom, there it is. I got their phone number. I've got their website. I've got their info right here. Sometimes they give you emails on here, but usually I'll have to go on their website. Like, it's very possible for you to go on here and manually collect these things, okay? Now, what's my goal, right? I want to go out there and I want to reach out to them, right? And my goal is to qualify them. I want to find out who's actually interested in marketing, right? Who actually is interested in what I'm providing, right? Who's actually interested in getting more customers? Who's actually interested in automating their messaging, right? That's my goal through that process. And I'm going to either send them a PDF, you know, like what we did. And let's just take a look at our very old one here. So what we would do is we would go and we would send, let's see. This is so old. I need to find a way to get access to this account again, because it's just not there. So this is what we would do, right? We would send them to this page, and it would have like a little bit about who they were. It would tell them a sales video about what we do, right? It would have a little tidbit on kind of what we did, right? And then our goal would be to get them to schedule a call with us. And so this was what we would do. We would kind of have this in our back pockets, and we would reach out to people on LinkedIn, and we'd reach out to people on and all the different ways that we can, right? But we would send them to some sort of qualifying tool, and that web page could be a PDF. It could be, we even used videos on YouTube at one time. And the best thing that I've seen is sending people to a demo bot, right? A demo chatbot that actually walks through how your services work, right? It doesn't actually just talk about it, but actually walks through them. And that's kind of the manual prospect, right? If you manually go through it, you find and you get people either on the phone, or ideally you get people to schedule your calendar, you know, through your calendar, or if you can create a website that's good enough, people can even buy right there online if your products are priced low enough. But you can manually do it, right? You can manually do it. Now, eventually though, we hit a place where there was no way that we could sustain what we were actually doing. We were spending a combined 7 hours a day just sending the text messages. And that was obviously taking away from us being able to provide a quality service. That was taking away from us being actually able to spend time building our business. And probably most importantly, that was taking away time from us actually doing the things that we enjoyed and actually loved, you know, spending time with our family, hanging out with, you know, his girlfriend, my wife, right? They're not the same person. He had a girlfriend. I was wanting to hang out with my wife. He wanted to hang out with his girlfriend. But my point is like, we didn't want to be spending time like texting all these random people. And so one day I got this message from this person who at the time I had no idea who it was. And he said, hey, I've got these tools that would probably make your life a lot easier. And I was like, what do you know, I don't know what you're talking about, but for some strange reason, I hopped on a call with him. It ended up being John Vaughn, you know, the founder of Tier 5. And he walked me through RoboContact, and he was like, hey, you know how you guys are like manually going through and searching for people, you know, like how you guys are like manually looking for people's info and copying it down and like texting them and all that stuff manually? I was like, yeah. And he's like, what, you know, what if I could do that, like, you know, for you? I was like, what are you talking about? He said, well, actually I have a tool that will do like all of that for you instantly. And it sounded like a little bit too good to be true. But essentially, what he showed me was like, yeah, here's this system right here. And I'll kind of pull up a test. But he's like, yeah, I can just run this system. And I can just say, hey, I want real estate agents in San Diego. And what it's going to do is it's going to go out and grab all the real estate agents in San Diego. and it's going to get their address, it'll get their website, it'll get their phone number, it'll get their email. It can grab their social links, their Facebook, their Twitter, their LinkedIn, their YouTube. And it can also email them automatically for you, and it can even submit their form, their contact form on their website. He's like, it can do all that automatically. I'm like, wait a minute, there's got to be something like more to it. And he was like, you know, their actual answer was yes, there's a ton more that it can do, but it's that simple. And so you can see in here, you can go through and it'll actually run through, and you can just say, I want the real estate agents, I want the mortgage brokers, I want the loan officers in New York, USA, right? And what it's going to do is it's going to go out and search. It actually ran through and it searched the state it looked like, which is cool. It found 210 real estate agents. It's sent 133 contact us forms, right? And so this right here essentially did everything that we were doing in 7 hours. It was actually doing instantly, in 10 seconds, right? And so after that, we started to realize how much possibility there was in being able to really just find and gather the information from all, you know, of the people in our niche, in our industry, all at once. And so we, from that point, went on a tear, and we just went state by state by state, and we just started searching and started running searches. And the great thing is that it has an email autoresponder already built into it. And so we had a series of follow-up messages that would find the ones who were actually interested in working with us. And all that saved us so much time, saved us so much energy, and we were actually able to, that's how we were able to work with real estate agents in over a dozen industries. And we ended up, you know, becoming one of the first chatbot, like, you know, for the real estate space, like the chatbot, whatever, you know, people know us, we're coming to us to build them chatbots in the real estate space. And it was just because we were able to reach out to so many people at scale. And so my tip to you, for you on that one is really finding ways and finding tools that you can use to remove yourself from the process, right? And in our accelerator, we talk about removing your, you know, having tools and automating your lead gen process. We talk about tools automating your outreach process. We talk about tools automating your qualification process, all the way up even, you know, to the sales process as well. And so when it comes to actually finding them, what I find is really you know, important when you're trying to scale is creating replicatable systems, doing the same thing over and over again, right? At a very, you know, large scale, and then finding ways for you to be able to automate it so you don't have to manually be doing it as well. So there's lots of options depending on where you're at in your business, where you're at in your life, where you're at in your finances, right? Because people either have one of two things. They either have time to invest, right, which is where you manually prospect, or you have, you know, money to invest into automating it, into outsourcing it, into delegating it, right? And so those are really the two main methods to actually finding them. So when someone says, well, how do I find these people? For me, you can either manually find them or you can run searches, you know, with the tools that we use to find them. All right, how did I do on that last tip? Woo! Blew through that last one, guys. And I think I did well. I think I'm teaching some good stuff here. I don't know. Let me know if you guys feel a little bit more confident about being able to actually go out there and find these people. Let me know. I'm sure that there are lots of questions that are out there, right? I'm sure that there are lots of questions. So first question is if you feel more confident about being able to find these business owners, find their information, find their leads, you know, find these leads, give me a Y. If you don't and you're still like, damn, but I don't know where I'm gonna find, you know, people to contact, give me an N. But if you feel like, man, I know now that at least the leads are out there, right? The information is out there. At least I know that I can get started whenever I'm ready. Let me know. All right, Lauren says good stuff. Jesse says good stuff. Mary Kay says good stuff. Okay, cool. So let's kind of recap, guys. We talked about at the very beginning what to include in your bot, right? We talked about the 3 things that every bot really needs. You need to find a way to subscribe people. You need to find a way to engage them once they're there, and you need a way to follow up to convert them, right? And that can be applied to every single industry. We talked about what to actually charge. So within that bot, right, we talked about what you actually can charge and how to price them, right, depending upon whether you're just getting started or to price it based on the value that you're providing for them. And then we also, we finished up with talking about how to actually find these people, because that is either the most time-consuming part, or it's either the most time-consuming part, or it's the part that people don't have the answer to. And that's what we did there. So great. So that's probably a lot, guys. If you guys have questions, throw them down there. Devin says Heckbot. If you guys want access, so here's one question that came up. Tony says, is it best to use RoboContact or domain leads? Right, so domain leads only gives you, at least on the free plan, domain leads only gives you 50 free leads every day. Okay, so you get 50 free leads on the free plan. With RoboContact, you get unlimited leads every day. So in terms of scale, and domain leads doesn't have a built-in autoresponder, and there's lots of features that RoboContact just has built into it that make it a little bit more, just do a lot more. RoboContact is actually your all-in-one kind of tool. It finds the leads, it contacts them, it sorts them, whereas domain leads is really just going to find them. So great question there. Great question. All right, is there any other question? And some of you guys are probably thinking, like, comment wire, and if you guys are feeling like, wow, that was a lot, but I want more, right? If you guys are like, yes, like that was great, but that's if you guys still feel like there's some missing links in there, or there's some missing not missing links, but if there's some things that are just not 100% clear, you can comment why or drop any questions down there. But the reality is that it's hard to cover everything in less than an hour. So if there's anything that you feel could be covered a little bit better, if you want it more thorough, drop that down there in the chat. And I will say that the best thing to do is to join our accelerator program. So those of you guys who are worried about free plan and stuff like that, our accelerator members get a free account to RoboContact. They get free access to the premium account there, and they actually get 3 months access to it when they first join. So if any of you guys will have any questions or want to stick around about the accelerator program, that is probably the place that has all of the answers for you. I'll actually just show it to you, because I think it's valuable, because everybody always has questions, and so here's where they are, right? And so our accelerator program includes lots of different things. The first thing is it includes how to actually run chatbot ads. So one big thing is you're like, all right, I don't actually know how to drive traffic to it. So there's actually an entire course in there. We also give all of our people 8 templates. So they get a real estate template, they get a live event template, they get a med spa template, affiliate marketing, e-com, home services, and musician and politician template. They get all of those, their own template as well. And then in here is actually our Sales Accelerator. So I actually recorded 6 hours of all of my sales training for my team. And this is the same sales training that our team used. It actually goes through and has all of those, I mentioned all of the resources, so you get the scripts as well. So there's just a bunch of just resources and tools in here. But there's also the Sales Automation Accelerator, and this is where we go over how to put together your system, how to use text outreach, how to use voice outreach, how to use emails. So there's all of these videos in here. So when people go, oh, I have a lot of more questions, where do I learn that? The accelerator is where you get it. I don't even know if anybody has gotten through all of this content, because there's just in there so there's something in there for everybody as well. So that's where all of the answers are. It's $99 to join and get access. Plus you get a bunch of other stuff as well. I will show you here. Because I wanted to put together something where everybody could get it, everything that they needed. And so where is this? So it's $99, and when you join, you get access for 3 months, which is kind of a steal, frankly. But we want to make sure that you are able to get the most out of the program. So that's only if you join today, right? If you join today, we'll give you 3 months free access. That's not the one. Here we go. So here's what you get. Okay, we talked about the training videos. There's a ton of them in there. You also get access to all the softwares. You get RoboContact, you get Text in Bulk, you get Link Wizard, you get Invoicing You, you get all the tier 5 ones. We also give you sample scripts. So I'll hop over here and show you guys that in our bonus accelerator, you get 18 scripts that you can use for your outreach. So if you guys don't know what to say in your RoboContact messages, you get a bunch of scripts that you can just modify for your own industry. So you get a bunch of messages, follow-up messages, emails, text messages, cold calls, all these things that you can use right away. So that's why we just want to make it easy for you. You get that sales deck, so you also get this as well. So you get the sales deck that you can just use and modify, which walks through our sales process that we go through with our customers. What else do you get? You get our client contract. We have weekly Q&As. There's a bunch of courses in there. We talk about the templates, and then we're also coming out with an affiliate opportunity. It's $99, which is just pretty exciting. So it's going to be like that for I don't know how long, but if you guys join today, then you guys will get access for 3 months, and you only have to pay $99. So what that means is that you join today, and then your next payment isn't until what is that, April, something like that. So it's only $99, and you get access to all the softwares, and you get access to all the trainings for 3 months until your next payment. So anyways, go get in there, go join, and if you guys have questions, throw them down there. Katya says she wants to know you can shoot a video showing your cell phone on the screen. So you can do that with an iPhone. I know it can do that. You can also do that with screen share with Zoom, and there's a few kind of mirroring programs that you can use to allow you to record a chatbot or your messenger video. So that's what I'd say about that. All right, guys, you guys get 3 months if you guys join today. Don't hate me if you guys don't do it, and then you guys don't get all the 3 months. So anyways, if you guys have any questions, follow up with me. Let me know. Have a great